Welcome to the Viola Playground. I'm Violist Youngshin Choi, and as you just heard in the beginning of this video, this week's topic is the second movement of Schumann's Märchenbilder. As you heard at the beginning, the second movement is all about the rhythms. There are like 4 different types of rhythms: 30-second notes, 8th notes, 16th notes, and syncopation. All about rhythms, short and crisp rhythms are there, and those short rhythms are making like, let's say, horse riding sound. And let me explore how those short rhythms, those short different rhythms make music out of it. Before we start with rhythms, musicality, forms, everything, let's begin with the double stop. Actually, the left hand. This piece, from the beginning until the end, it starts with double stop and ends with double stop, and some of you may struggle with that. But it looks like very difficult because there are a lot of double stops and they are all thirds. In fact, it's not that difficult once you know the tricks. So the very first thing that I am actually recommend is cut your fingernail first. If you have long fingernails, then that automatically let you play with flat finger, and that flat finger is really not good for double stops. So look at here. Let me zoom it. So when I just have it with round, very round, and with fingertips, I'm just making it so that you can see it. Then I am touching, my first finger is touching only D string, the string that I want to have it. But if I am putting like flat fingers, my fingernails are now very short. How can I show you? Yeah. My fingernails are very short and it doesn't have any white part. But suppose that let's imagine that my fingernails are really long and I cannot put my fingers with the fingertips. That means I need to be flat. And as you see it, if I am putting my fingers flat, then automatically I touch the A string too. When we are doing the single string, it doesn't, sometimes it really causes the problem, but not that much as we are doing with double stops. Because the very first thing that we are doing is the F natural and A natural. And think that my F natural is like that, and what happens? That it actually automatically goes to fifths, which we don't want to have it. So the first thing, as I said, cut your fingernail very short, and always, especially when you are doing the third, really super round with your fingers. Super round means when you put your fingers, it's supposed to be very round so that your fingertip, the tip of fingers are touching the string and not the flesh of the fingers. That is first tip. Then what's the second tip? The second tip is use your open string here a lot. That C natural on D string, the fourth finger, and A, open A. You can actually play this way, or you can play that way too. The only thing is, as you see, fourth finger on D string and second finger on A string, it's quite big interval here. I mean, the big step in your hand, and you can avoid it as you're doing here. The only thing that you need to care about is that your whole arm is not to the A string side, it should be D string side, so that your A string doesn't sound popped. Also, when you are using your fourth finger and open A, this way, press hard. Otherwise, your sound, your C natural sound won't be as clear as we want to have it. And as you see, the fourth finger is the weakest from our fingers, and we need to care especially for that. So press hard. That means inside with your arm and really turn your hand and have it and press it, and if it is possible, round again the fourth finger and then play it. So those two tips, if you can do those two tips, then you will figure out that double stops are not that difficult that you think. The second movement is basically a rondo form. It starts with A section, which is really like horse riding theme. And then contrasting section, the B section. It's totally different in mood, totally different in rhythms. Everything is different, contrasting theme. And then the A section comes again. After that, the C section, which is totally different from A and B. And of course, finally, A section comes again. So let's begin with A section. And let me show you, I say that there are 4 different rhythms before that, right? So it starts with 30 seconds note. And then, like in the beginning, I would say this one is like a big introduction. Here I go, here the story comes. And then the storytelling comes out. As I just had it, already 2 different rhythms are there, like 30 seconds note, brum, brum, and then bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, bum. That dotted 8 and 16th note, the dotted rhythms. And these dotted rhythms are really feels like horse riding. So that's why the nickname of this piece, I mean, I gave the nickname, or honestly, my teacher gave nickname, it's horse riding. So, but make sure those 16th notes, the dotted 8th and 16th notes are correct rhythm, not like in between triplets or even too short like 30 seconds note. If you are doing that, we lose that feeling of difference between 30 seconds, 16th and 8th and even triplets. Okay, so have a really, and when you practice it, practice this way so that you know it's actually 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. And once you did it, still remember this is a music. It's not like just rhythms, just merely rhythms like. That's very boring, right? So we want to have a line out of it. where I just started with the syncopation. It's kind of it's very easy to get on the beat, like that, but then we lose the feeling of syncopation, bam, 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 like chasing feeling. And first of all, rhythmically it's not correct if you are doing on the beat. Second, musically it's also not good. So have you really? And of course, when we practice it, feeling with 16th notes, it is all 4 16th notes. And that's the one reason why we get always on time. So you need to show both of them. First of all, with accent on the weak beat, bam, 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 bam. And then also you need to show that even though it sounds strong, still it's weak beat. And where the beats are, you need to show it in your sound. So that like that. And remember, it's still same thing, it's music. So make music out of it. Always go somewhere, not just stay there and sit there. Just count it. Go for bum 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 or bum 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 bum. Which way, it's totally fine for me, but still have always line. Okay? And here we have triplets. So and it is very tempting to do like jamming in the beginning and then wait for the next beat. But that is definitely not Schumann's intention. So spread out evenly, like. So remember, 30-second notes, 16th notes, and the syncopation, and finally the triplets. They have their own functions in the music. And because of that, you need to be very precise with them and distinguish them right away. Distinguish a lot so that listeners can know right away. And that we're gonna help also for making music out of it. Let's go to next section, not next section, but this one. As you see, I had a lot of crescendo here, so that I'm not doing sitting there. I mean, rhythm itself is very interesting, but we can make even more interesting out of that when we make line. So I'm just in literally this short, I already said about lines a lot of times, because this piece really, you need to make it the line out of it. The music doesn't give you naturally the lines because it's so busy with the rhythms, and if you are only concentrating in rhythms, it's very likely you forget about the line. Then everything sounds very similar and sounds very same, and we don't want to have it, right? So here we are repeating like 4 times. So make it from start a little less. More. Go for here. And then this one. It's F sharp and A. And I'm sure all of you already know this piece is in F major. And in F major, F sharp is the farthest note ever. And we need to treat it how? Yes, special. Here, I am doing a little bit gentler so that the character changes it. Back. Let's talk about how can we actually still keep the musical ideas even though when we are really busy with, let's say, rhythmic concerns. Okay? So in my case, I always make a story out of it. Let's make a story with this one. So when I play this one, I always feel like it's like hunting. So as I said, it's horse riding, and when you hunt, not this time, but early in, like way earlier in history. So they did hunting with horse riding. So that's always what I am making story out of it. So at the beginning, very beginning, I mean, as I said, it's like introduction or intro or declamation. Now the whole hunting starts. And then the story starts, let's hunt. And then we saw a prey, and then we are following, chasing. And here we finally found, we caught it. Like triumphing. And then, once again, find another one. Once again, horse riding. Here, I am changing totally the character. Here, until now, when hunting was like men's thing, what are the ladies doing at that time? They basically enjoyed their picnics right next to when their partners are hunting. So elegant. Once again, still it's hunting place. And then they found a prey once again, and they want like soft. And they are getting now. Like finished here. Because they got all the praise they wanted to have it. And then that afterthought or triumph, now they can give whatever present they can do it. As you just look at it above my head, this part, what does it say? It says etwas zurückhaltend. That means basically somewhat you are holding back, which means slow down. So basically you are transitioning to the next theme.